Welcome to Real Estate on the Rocks, where you get top shelf real estate conversations served straight up, never watered down. Here's your host, Dave Snowberger.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Welcome back. It is great. We've got Alicia Hooper back in the office today, fresh off of some conference in New Orleans. We won't talk about that because it's very brand specific, and we're not going to bring that up right now. We've got Marshall Tucker in the co-pilot seat today.
What's going on, y'all?
And the new guy, James, is behind the glass doing what he does best, sitting there and being quiet.
That's exactly how we like him.
Stop talking quiet. We're live on the air. Stop talking.
Get back behind your glass.
5 minutes.
You're cut off.
All right, cool. Enough fun. Everybody, cut it out. Let's get to having some info here. Why the people tune in to hear us. What number podcast are we in the world?
I think
right
we're number one.
Number one in what category?
Real estate.
No.
In my world.
100%.
I'm a legend in my own mind.
Not
Okay.
really, but we will be.
That's right.
Can you
we
rephrase
definitely
the
will.
I'm
question?
putting it out
Can you
there.
rephrase the question?
Can I buy a vowel?
Let's just move on before we lose all of our listeners for this afternoon. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about, this is just going to be a quick one before one of our interviews we have coming up. 6 personal perspectives. Does anybody know what these are?
I've seen it every day.
All right.
I come in.
At the office.
Cool. Yeah, you've got them all. Everybody has these hung up above their desk. I don't know about your desk. I don't go into your office much, Alicia, into your lair.
Taco Den.
Step 1,
It's in
commit
my
to
apartment, so
self-mastery.
that makes sense.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
I said it's in my apartment, so that makes sense that you haven't seen it.
Well. Okay. So step 1, commit to self-mastery. What's that mean to you, Alicia?
Commit to self-mastery. Investing in yourself, education, always growing, learning, and perfecting where you want to grow.
There you go. I think it's all up to one's perception.
Yes.
You know, I mean, we probably all have that a little bit different, but it all means the same thing. It all you
That was
dial
like a
it back
general,
in.
yeah.
Yeah, very general there. Marshall, self-mastery. What's it mean to you?
Self-mastery. Being successful, you're going to master a certain skill. So self-mastery is perfecting and drilling down deep on one specific thing.
Are you reading that off the
No.
internet?
That was really good.
That's great.
I was looking in your eyes the whole time.
You have
Are your
inspired
eyes the
me.
internet?
Well, you just made that weird.
Super awkward.
Well, you just made that weird. So, all right, moving on over to the
I
new
got
guy.
sunshades on.
I'm impressed.
So I really want to get the perspective from the new guy over here, James. Tell me about what it means to you, being you're the newest guy in the business, about a year under your belt so far, not a lot of closed transactions, well on your way to closing a lot of transactions in 2019, as we can tell by your current activity. Self-mastery, what's it mean to you?
It's constantly improving and developing a plan to continue to grow as much as you can, and for me in several different ways. That's why I read a lot, I listen to a lot of podcasts.
Right.
So it's always growth in specific areas like mindset and leadership, and like a lot of obviously the real estate stuff with lead gen and perfecting my craft and scripts and things like that. So I'm always trying to, or every single day I'm working on improving a little bit.
Beautiful.
Nice. Hence self-mastery. Nice.
Love it.
Nice.
What does it mean to you, Dave?
Well, it's a little bit of that. I don't know if I can be as articulate as James there, but really it's just improving myself. And you know that I take in a lot of content, or at least I tell you I do. I don't know if you actually believe me. But I wake
Prove
up
it.
at pretty early in the morning, and I just pop on some podcasts that I have lined up, or the books that I want to get through. For this month, is I'll have them lined out and know how many hours I need to go on my walk or listen to in my car. If I'm driving down to the coast or something to visit my family, I know that I can plan 4 hours for this book. If it's an 8-hour book, I can plan 4 hours there and 4 hours back, and
Right.
usually knock out the book. So I'll have that. That's part of the self-mastery that I'm after, is just taking in as much content as possible that I can use and start applying to my career at this point, and really what I can give back to my team that's under me, my sales staff. We do a rev up every morning where we talk about, our affirmation for the day. We talk about our gratitude, what we're grateful for, and then we talk about our goal. And then after that, we jump into a 10, 15-minute mastermind. And typically that's where I can regurgitate all the information that I took in that morning or
Right.
maybe over a weekend. So I rarely listen to the radio. I rarely watch TV, and everything I do is really just around that. And that's that self-mastery. I need about 10,000 hours of that to get to that part of self-mastery. So that's what it means to me.
Beautiful.
Cool. Step two. Commit to the 80-20 principle. Pareto principle, right?
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about that, James, the new guy. Spell Pareto.
Let me Google that. Always forget the. I can't even spell it if I try to. But the principle it works really good, and it works in every field, obviously.
Right.
80% of or 20. See, 80% of your work is 20% of the results, and so you want to end up focusing heavily. 20%. 80% of your work. Oh no, sorry. 20% of your work is 80% of your results.
There you go.
That's all right.
That sounds anyway. But
He'll cut that out. He's a producer.
You want to be efficient, so 20% of your time and efforts is producing 80% of your outcome.
Yeah. So, or in the reverse, you're doing 80% to 20. So you're doing like heavy work and lower results, and this way you're trying to refine more, focus more of your energy on the higher producing aspects of your business, which is a struggle at first to refine your skills. So that way you're really hyper focused on that 20%, which will then obviously net you your 80.
Right.
Yep.
Cool. Pareto principle. Alicia. Hooper.
Yeah, it's pretty much
Taco.
what I just said, man. Yeah.
Oh.
Repeat.
bad.
That's okay.
Moving on to Marshall.
Rewind that real quick. Play it again.
This is what happens when you get 4 people in a room with microphones that didn't plan anything.
So commit to the 80-20 principle. I guess what that means to me, I can get kind of scattered brain sometimes and kind of spread myself thin. So really it's about narrowing that focus back into what's going to make me the money this week. I think we talked about it this morning. It was the POUR principle, pass on opportunity repeatedly.
Yep.
And so, we can miss a lot of things if you're just spread out and you're trying to watch too many things. So what I do is dial it down to what's really working and focus on that, and then you don't have to work so hard on the others.
And I think that also applies to how you have your team set up. So Marshall is primarily buyers, right? So that's his focus. That's his narrowed focus to produce 80% of the team, potentially, right? Is the way to look at that?
No.
No?
Dissecting our team?
A little bit.
Yeah, no, you got that right. A lot of times, I guess it is that 80% of our listings generate 20% of our buyers. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. And so we're a listing heavy team. We always know that listings are what we consider what we need to be doing constantly. So we have a what's that called? Like there's a magic number that I always keep that for us to do what we do as a team and operate like we do, I have to carry this many listings through a month. So that means I have to make X amount of phone calls,
Right.
X amount of touches, and I have to bring in that much business to always
Hit your
keep that
goals,
magic
yeah.
number of that. And what that does is right there is it always generates at least 20% more of our buyers that come in the door. We're probably going to cut all this out because I botched that real hard.
Sure. No, I think without hitting the key word, that's really what you're doing is that's what.
So if you
Right.
think of like
Listings, leads, leverage, right? And so if that's done in the order and you're taking more listings, it gives you more leads, which provides you more leverage.
Right.
So if you're staying listing heavy at 80% and you're presenting, you're coming up with all those leads, each listing should procure at least 2 solid leads. That's the 20%.
Right. And thinking about the 80-20 perspective from a team manager like yourself,
Right.
you're doing 20% of what you want to focus on, and these guys are doing the other 80% that
Right.
you don't want to do.
Correct.
Or don't have time to do, or whatever that looks like.
Correct.
Yep.
And then let's go to step 3 real quick. Let's get away from the 80-20 because, oh boy, that one was tough.
Well, there's a lot of different perspectives, right?
Move from E
Yeah.
to P. Entrepreneurial to purposeful. Marshall, spell entrepreneurial.
ENTREPRENE. Can I swipe it? Because if I swipe on my phone, I can spell a lot easier.
There you go.
Moving entrepreneurial. I can't even say it. I can spell it, but I can't say it. See, purposeful is the difference.
That's why I had to
between
move.
doing something and
That's why I had to
mastering
move
it.
to purposeful because I couldn't spell out. I couldn't say entrepreneurial.
So we'll just shorten it to E to P.
There you go.
Perfect.
I'm glad you came up with that idea.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
It's not on this flyer at all.
Not at all.
Entrepreneurial to me is really kind of having those fresh ideas. My entrepreneurial brain is running in overdrive constantly. I always want to be taking on new projects. That gets me nowhere.
Right.
And until I hired an admin and had somebody in that seat to handle a lot of things that I was doing, or taking on, I was taking on so many projects by myself that I couldn't get any of them accomplished. And so finally, I brought on a director of operations to kind of get me to stay still for a minute and really start working on not necessarily being entrepreneurial, but being more purposeful about the things that we were doing. So being more purposeful with our days, being more purposeful in the company and what I'm doing to work on the business and to lead generate and then lead follow up.
And for your clients, right.
And so, and so everything became more purposeful.
Yep.
And so I was able to stop with this whole, some people call it the visionary thing. I just call it being an entrepreneurial and being scatterbrained. Is coming up with ideas that will work and make the business so much easier, right? Sticking to the fundamentals and just becoming more purposeful about doing those things. And then when I have more time, I can move on. And once I have some sort of mastery towards that, I can move on to a new project. Right? But I had to have somebody there. I had to hire somebody to rein me back in.
Sure.
Does that make sense? Cool.
Absolutely.
Cool. What's your name? New guy.
New guy.
All right.
James.
I always forget your name. Jason.
James.
E to P.
Greatest ever.
Okay, what?
So, I mean, yeah, like a lot of people you're trying to do a lot of, in the beginning, especially, or if you have the flexibility, if you're running the team, is you're trying to build and grow and everything, and you end up growing or trying to do so much, you're not actually focusing on what you should be doing. So you're kind of spinning your wheels a lot. So when you go to be more purposeful, like the one thing they talk about is drill everything down. If I do this one thing, that's the most important thing, it makes everything else, shoot, I messed that up. But basically, like a side thing. Nothing else matters if you can master that one piece, and that will in turn grow and kind of like fold on top of itself and continue to grow. And if you have that hyper focused view or vision.
Cool.
I don't think I got to really answer that.
You didn't.
You know what?
I didn't even get to answer
No,
that.
you were
Y'all cut
focused
me
on you
off
trying
after
to
spelling.
Yeah.
Wasn't that spelling bee?
Yeah. You failed.
It's a podcast.
You got booed off the stage.
You want to move from E to P real quick?
Sure. For me, it's coming in the mornings, and instead of just calling the clients and just kind of haphazardly, running through what we're going to say, it's actually becoming more purposeful in our scripts, having script partners, having script practice, learning new ways of tonality, mirroring, matching, and carrying on the phone. And so you really got to be more purposeful on that. And so that's kind of what it means to me.
Cool.
Nice.
Cool. See, everybody's perspective is a little bit different on that.
Yep.
Make being learning based the foundation of your action plan.
Always be learning.
I think, that goes back up to step number 1 with me is the self-mastery is, ABL, always be learning.
That's right.
And just always be ABC, always be consuming.
And always be
Look
closing.
at me. So,
Should probably never do that on a podcast again.
Watch the videos.
I got my license, and I was like, cool, it's over with, right? No more
Yeah.
classes. I'm going to get in there and make some money. And it was like, oh, you got more classes to take. Here's some more classes. Here's more classes. It's never going to end.
That's right. There's a funny meme out there where it shows you like a really small stack. This is what you learn in real estate school. Then it's like a huge fat stack. This is what you actually learn in the field.
yeah,
Yeah. That's very real.
totally.
We touched on a previous podcast with education. You can't come in there like, oh yeah, I fit just like school. Like, oh, I'm done with the education. Mm-hmm. Well, no, because you're never growing. Actually, I just read an article where they're saying that the surgeons, that they are 2 years behind major breakthroughs because they're so impacted by work. They're not actually devoting enough time into mastering and growth and expanding their knowledge base just because they're so busy and caught up with what they're doing.
Right. So I don't want to be like a surgeon. That's why I've stepped out of the role of sales, and I'm just working on the business now.
Surgery.
That's what I was expecting too.
That's why I dropped out of medical school.
I was expecting that.
I thought he was going to go with that one hard. And now I'm here. I mean, he wasn't.
Is there a doctor in the house?
He was a mixologist.
Yeah, I was a mixologist, right? So being learning based the foundation of your action plan. That is not just, to me, just your basic education. That's really that scripts, practice, role play thing. Surrounding myself with people that know what they're talking about. One of my biggest things when I got into real estate 5 years ago or so was I had to surround myself with the top producers. And I would just, if I saw the top producers gabbing it up in the break room, I would go sit in there and take my time getting coffee so I could hear what they were talking about. So I could be more familiar with how top producers talked. And that was the learning base for me, was just going around like a sponge and absorbing everything.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't necessarily the classes. We all went through those. I dodged the classes. I'm the type of folk that likes to sit in the classes and go to them. And that's so time consuming that I don't really have time for that. I learn more, I seem to consume energy more from surrounding myself with the people that are doing the things that I want to do.
Sure.
Or that my goals I achieve.
And everybody learns differently too, right? Like
Yeah.
you're a huge fan of podcasts and, like what you mentioned in your morning routine and everything, and we all learn differently. So whether that's Audible or actually reading a book or going to a class
Combination of both.
or interviewing an agent, whatever that looks like.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of my newest things I love is interviewing the agents, is just kind of pick their brain and see where they're at. And a lot of times I can see that I think somebody's put together really well, and I'm like, oh, okay, they have a lot of the same flaws that I have. They're up with a lot of the same struggles that I'm up against, building a team and coming to work every day and finding motivated people, and really that searching for talent.
Sure.
And so that's one of our hardest parts is as we grow and scale, we can hire anybody, but are they a good fit for us? Do they fit our culture? Good things like that. So let's go to 5 and 6 real quick. We've got to step this up. Remove your limiting beliefs.
That drunk monkey.
Yep.
I'll knock that one out of the park real quick.
Do it.
Okay, so removing my limiting beliefs. I used to just have so many limiting beliefs when it came to this business that I couldn't do it. I couldn't list that. I'll never be able to list homes. I'll never get 5 listings. I'll never get 10 listings. I'll never get 15 listings. And I've surpassed all that. I'll never be able to sell $1 million property, And I mean, I sell $1 million property all the time. And so I'll never be able to grow a successful team. Oh my gosh, look at me with my successful team. I'll never be able to do these type of things. These limiting beliefs, that drunk monkey, they don't want to hear from me. I shouldn't make this phone call because they're going to be rude. I don't want to call this for sale by owner. I don't want to call this expired because of this. And I predetermine the outcome of it. I've already determined what the outcome is before I even make the call.
Right.
And once I stop doing that, game changer. And that's one of my biggest things right now I do in the coaching program is that I bring these guys in and really work on removing their limited beliefs. And a lot of times they'll tell me to my face, they'll look at me in the face and say, hey, look, I don't have any limited beliefs. I got no problem calling. And then we turn around and we all get busy. And I'm noticing that once
Silence.
again, cue the crickets, and it's like, I hear the crickets and it's just like, oh, well, I was getting ready to call.
Yeah.
I wanted to work on this script a little bit more. It's like, man, you're scripted enough. You've done the script enough. Just call. They're not going to strangle you through the phone. They're not going to kick you through the phone or punch you in the nose through the phone. It's just kind of do it and stop letting that drunk monkey, those limiting beliefs, take over your day. What do you think?
Yeah, I was just listening to another podcast the other day on limiting beliefs, and she was explaining how all of that comes from childhood mainly. So, you're formed and molded as a kid, and as you grow up, you have these, boundaries that you can't escape from. I think the easiest example for my limiting belief was coming from a salary type job. I never thought that I could make $20,000 in a month without playing the lottery. And since I don't play the lottery, that's probably never going to happen. But, now I know that it's quite possible and easy to make $20,000 in a month.
It's easy.
It's easy.
So easy. You can do it.
Easy button. Boop.
Just focus. But yeah, so that was my limiting belief. And, as I'm raising my children now, and I tell my daughter no, and she asks me again, I tell her no, and she asks me again, I tell her no, I start thinking to myself, am I molding a limiting belief on her?
Yeah.
And so, I try to figure out a different way to go about, telling her to no instead of just a hard line no.
There you go.
That's good.
There you go.
Good stuff.
What you got for us?
Just one thing that I want to touch base that hasn't been said already is when you have certain situations in real estate that don't go as planned, don't let that become your limiting belief. So if you have a bad transaction or a bad situation or a crazy seller, you're going to come across all of this.
Pivot.
Exactly.
Or even just losing a listing appointment.
Yeah.
You go on the appointment, you give the presentation, you don't get the job.
Yep.
You didn't get the listing, and you walk away and you see, my sign go in the yard.
Oh,
Overpriced.
let's talk about that.
You see my sign go in the yard. Don't go beat yourself up.
No, but seriously, don't let those become your limiting beliefs. It's very important. Talking about self-mastery, it's very important on the personal side too.
And for sure.
Your
for
mindset
sure.
and everything.
For sure. And then lastly, step 6, is be accountable.
That's right.
Like, how do you right now? I know that you and I've taken you on really as a coaching client. You've come to me and said, "Hey, Dave, I want to get to a certain point.
Yep.
I think we'd be a good match. I like what you do with your team. Let's try this for a little while and give it a whirl." And so I'm become your accountability partner really just overnight. And so I know that the other two guys in the room, oddly enough, I'm one of their accountability partners, but I don't want to be the only one. Right. And I hope I'm not the only one to you. I'm sure you have many.
Correct.
For a lot of your goals you have. You've got a lot of goals. I understand that. And so it can't just be one person. Right. And so you have to be accountable to yourself. Really, that's the biggest thing is that I get out of bed every morning and I'm accountable to myself. Like, you want to go to the gym because you want to do this.
And you also get to.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind too. We're very blessed, whether it's the ability to go to the gym,
Right.
or to help a client with the biggest transaction of their life.
Right.
We get to do that.
Yep.
It's huge.
And sometimes we don't think about that.
Right.
But I put that in perspective all the time.
Oh, yeah.
That I'm happy to be doing this, and I'm happy to be where I'm at. I'm happy for the 5 people I have around me constantly. I'm happy for this podcast that we've got going on. It was some hard work launching it, and we went through audio issues, and we went through certain things and talent issues, and we have people that still do weird stuff while I'm talking to
that was like the perfect cue. Talent issues and new guys over here burping up like whatever he had for lunch.
I'm not chewing on the mic.
We have no talent issues sometimes.
Jeez.
Anyway, tell me about that accountability.
Accountability is huge. I personally thrive on accountability. I'm a competitive person, so when I know that I have to report to somebody, I'm not the type of person where I have to walk in and say, I didn't set any appointments this week, or I didn't hit my numbers, or whatever. So accountability is huge for me in my growth.
Cool. Will you teach that to Marshall?
I don't know. Is he coachable?
Marshall's very coachable. He is one of the top peak performers of our team.
Whoop, whoop.
And absolutely kills it in the referral network. I'm impressed with this guy. We go to lunch a minute ago. He can't get off the phone. I can hear every phone call because he's got the volume all jacked up. And it was referral after referral after referral.
Yeah.
And he's winning them all against these big, super mega agents we won't mention that are based here in Austin, Texas.
Love it.
And so I think that does great for him and really kind of builds his confidence in where he needs to be at. And so really that makes him more accountable, because now he's got bigger shoes to fill. And when he sees those referrals pop up and all these agents across the nation saying, Marshall Tucker, you got to be with Marshall Tucker, and then get the reviews back. I mean, it makes him accountable to make that call on time, to send him that video real quick, to do the things that he has to do to win that referral over, because there's a lot of talent in this town.
Absolutely.
And
That's
so
what I was explaining to a client the other day. We were at a closing, and I knew an hour, 2 hours before we were going there, I was going to get a call. I had to make a call at 5:30. And so I just explained to her, I was like, look, I don't know where we're going to be at in the process here in a little bit, but I got to make a 5-minute call. It's going to be really quick, and just like I would do for you. And so just kind of set that expectation for her. At 5:30, I made my call. 5 minutes later, I was done, hopped right back into it, and we sold the house.
Boom.
Shakalaka. Accountability.
With a finger in my face. No, it's good. It's good. I mean, you have to be accountable to somebody. You have to be able to. You have to report your numbers and have a clear line of information or of points that are measurable and attainable and everything. And then you just have somebody who will actually legitimately hold you to your numbers. And if not, then you have to explain what.
It's my bank account.
I think it's also important to have a personal accountability partner as well.
That's my wife.
Yeah, it could be your wife, it could be a kid, it could be your mom, whatever that looks like. I think it's
Not your dog.
not just on the professional side.
I 100% agree. I have an accountability partner. I mean, in Nicole, and she's always busting my chops about gym, what I eat, am I doing something productive? Am I doing this?
I love
What's
it.
that?
You're always getting caught with your food pics.
What were you doing, Dave?
I tell her everything's cool, and then I did a
was your
Wilco
diet
Eats.
today?
I shot a Wilco Eats this past weekend.
Yeah.
At some restaurant, and I ate keto. That's the
saw
way
that.
I eat.
Yeah.
I eat keto, and then of course there's 2 pieces of pie. Well, my buddy Jason got 2 pieces pieces of pie, and I just took the pictures. Actually, I filmed them, and I put them in my video, and I released it. And she goes and she sees it, and she's like, "Oh, I see you ate keto for your meal, but you still ate a piece of pie." And I'm like, "No, I didn't."
You're like, first of all, thank you for watching my video.
Yeah, I had to
Second of
convince
all-
her.
Jason, you bought 2 pieces of pie. Wink, wink.
Yeah, I had to convince her that I didn't eat the pie, which was kind of BS, but I do appreciate the accountability because I've got
Absolutely.
certain goals to hit by the time I go to Disney in May, and I want to be able to, walk the 25,000 steps a day there and all that other good stuff.
Yeah,
so
enjoy yourself.
she's my accountability partner there because I've given certain goals, and plus when I hit a certain weight, I can buy a little something for myself that starts with myrrh and ends with Sadie's. So. G-Wagon. And so that's been one of my goals. Will I buy it? Who knows? It's just a goal. But I have to
exciting.
be accountability. I have to have the accountability to get there.
That's right.
And a lot of times being the team leader, I don't have a lot of accountability, outside accountability, or inside accountability of the team. Nobody
Sure.
holds me accountable.
Yeah.
I'm holding everybody else accountable. And that's why I have really the coaching program also, is that not only do I coach, I have a coach. So that coach keeps me accountable to certain things.
Absolutely.
So I certainly appreciate that. So anyway, let's go ahead and wrap this one up. We've kind of run over on this one, but we really appreciate it. We know this one was choppy. However, we will do our best to clean it up. And hopefully by the time you're hearing this, we've already cleaned it up.
That's right.
We will commit to our 80-20 and
freestyle.
focus on our priority.
We
There
will
you
commit
go.
to our 80-20 and
on the
focus to
podcast.
our priority. Once again, let's give a thanks over to our sponsor, Michael Harrell with Guild Mortgage. You can find any of us for those referrals or any kind of questions at info@realestateontherocks.com. Once again, I'm Dave Snowberger, Alicia Hooper, Marshall Tucker, and James, the new guy Mendez, signing off.
Bye, y'all.